Well, good morning. Oh boy. I did wait the extra hour and 11 minutes today. I could have done it at 3:33, but as I was up at that time. But in any case, this is a pondering subject today. The title is Are Right and Wrong Social Concepts Without Existential Relevance? One of my Buddhist friends sent me this saying yesterday, quote, "Right and wrong are social concepts. They have no existential relevance." End quote. He sends out various sayings almost daily, and I am on his mailing list. I rarely respond, but this time I did. Quote, "Really? What about rape, murder, child molestation, fraud, war, random acts of violence? Sorry, there are many things that are simply violations of natural law, all of which are wrong. Psychopaths love to spread that kind of lie. I know you're not that way, but those who created hell on earth are, and they've been getting away with it for a long time." End quote. I wonder, does anyone besides me think pain and suffering have existential relevance? Now, as I was sitting here, I asked Google the question, what is existentialism? And Bob Corbett, in March 1985, wrote a short essay or paper, whatever, on that subject. Existentialists, by far and large, believe that life is very difficult and that it doesn't have an objective or universal known value, but that the individual must create value by affirming it. Really? It's all about focusing on the individual existence and the existential struggles, that is, making decisions that are meaningful in everyday life. I'm not going to read, there's a lot of it there. I'm certainly not going to read the whole thing that he wrote. You can Google it yourself. It's on the Webster EDU website. Philosophy, existentialism, what is? Anyway, Google it. I believe life has meaning. I believe life has value. And I believe there are standards to life. That's why I continue to stress natural law. Natural law has two basic principles: do no harm and do not violate the free will of another sentient being. Those, I think, have extreme relevance to how I live my life, to what I believe is real, to what I believe is true, to what I believe is meaningful. That's me. Now, I look at the world of my friends, my community. And I was really thrilled the other day when one of the members of the community wrote that, what did she write? I put it in one of the, and I sometimes think Ron has been right all this time. He has seen what has taken others a longer time to see. She looks at what's going on in the world and she said, sometimes I swear they are from another planet. Yeah. Are the people that cause the evil from another planet? Are the people that push this existentialist philosophy that life has no meaning except the meaning you give it? Now that's the circle that I live. That's the spiritual community that I'm in. These are teachings of my spiritual community. It's called the New Thought community. It's the Unity churches. It's the Science of Mind churches. Life has no meaning. And most of the people that I know that are in this movement do not get involved in politics, are not activists, and they have swallowed, in my opinion, the most heinous belief system of Eastern mysticism, of Eastern religions, Buddhism, etc. And that is that life is an illusion, that it has no existential, or it has no relevant meaning. to anything, again, except the meaning you give it. Now, I have repeated that phrase many times myself. Life has no meaning except the meaning you give it. Really, when I observe the world that I live in, and this is another one, you can't see anything that's not in you. Really. You can't understand anything maybe unless you've experienced it or unless there are feelings that come up that relate to it. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's in you. And this is another major teaching of the workshops even that I've been involved in for over 20 years now. Does life have absolute meaning? Is there such a thing as truth? That is probably the question that most needs to be answered, and as far as I can see, most people don't answer it. Because if they say life doesn't have meaning, that there is no absolute truth, then they buy anything. And that's how we got the world that we live in. Anything goes. Everything is okay. Anything goes because there is no right and wrong. It doesn't matter if you're a child molester. It doesn't matter if you're a rapist. It doesn't matter if you're a serial killer. It doesn't matter if you are a warmonger and you choose to make profit at creating wars and financing both sides of the war. There are no moral values. There are no moral absolutes. Well, I'm sorry. If that's the world, if that's the way the world is structured by some kind of creator, I'm against that creator. And I don't mind saying I will stand against that creator and against the whole world that believes that it doesn't matter. Now I say my Buddhist friend, he wasn't raised Buddhist, he was raised Baptist, if I remember correctly his story, but he became Buddhist and he's an active Buddhist to this day. And he teaches yoga and he teaches meditation, and there's nothing wrong with either of those. And many in my community are yoga teachers and meditators, and I am myself. Although I've not really done yoga as a practice, I do meditation as a practice. My own brand of meditation. It's mindful meditation, not mindless meditation. I don't try to turn off my thoughts. I observe my thoughts. That's the way that I do it. Sometimes I might accidentally get out of thinking for a moment or two, but not very long. I am one who ponders, one who contemplates. That's my form of meditation. In any case, I start with the premise that life has meaning. I start with the premise that my physical life has purpose and value. I start with that. Because if I didn't believe that, if I believed what the existentialists or what some existentialists propose, that life has no meaning, then I have no reason to be alive. I have no reason to live. I have no problems that need to be corrected. I have no purpose. Now, the Red Dragon, let me see if I can find that here, sent the ambassador an email and asked that please send to Ron and others. And he quotes, as he quotes a lot of Bible verses, he quotes Romans 8:28 through 30, and also 2 Chronicles 7. Romans 8:28 is what my mother used to write at the end of every one of her letters when I was in the army. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. 29 is, for whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he predestined, these he also called. Whom he called, these he also justified. And whom he justified, these he also glorified. And 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. I like those particular scriptures. I'm not a biblicist, as you know, if you've listened to a lot of my videos. I'm not one who is a fundamentalist. But there are things in the Bible and in other scriptures that have value. I like the idea that all things work together for good. Sometimes it takes me a while to see how some of the things that have happened to me in my life are good. And I try, because I believe that things are supposed to work for good, I try to find justification for the bad things that happen. And I had a friend just yesterday, yeah, I guess it was yesterday, say that I play victim, that I live my life playing victim, because everything I see people being victimized by the Matrix. And I do. It's true. To me, the whole world is a victim of sadists, a victim of those who are intrinsically evil, intrinsically violators of free will. Their essence is in doing wrong, not uplifting, but down, compressing down, pushing in, pushing against all the time. And you say, but Ron, aren't you pushing against them? And what you resist persists. These are some of the concepts that I deal with, that I struggle with all the time, because the very foundation of the philosophy, the spiritual philosophy in my own community, to me, violates the most important thing of all: do no harm. And all I see, not all I see, but what I see a lot of, is harm that we do to ourselves, that we do to each other, that we do to the land and to the other kingdoms, the mineral kingdom, the air, the water, the earth itself, air, fire, water, earth. We harm it tremendously. You say, but Ron, it doesn't really harm it, because ultimately it still exists. No matter what we do, it's still going to exist. It's still going to come back. And I wrestle with this. I wrestle with these things, which is why I ask the question, does anyone besides me think pain and suffering have existential relevance? Do they mean anything at all? I would like to eliminate suffering. I would like to eliminate unnecessary pain, pain that is caused on purpose by others. I would like to end the practice of spraying harmful elements in the sky, chemtrails. I would like to end the practice of genetically modifying food and introducing things that harm the organisms that eat them, whether animal or human. I would like to end the pharmaceutical industry putting poisons in the medicines so that people get other symptoms that need to be treated with other medicines, and it's all about profit. It's all about making money at somebody else's expense. These are things that are matters of justice to me. And people that believe that right and wrong are merely social concepts without existential relevance have no sense of justice or injustice whatsoever. How can you believe that there's such a thing as injustice if you believe that anything goes? And that's why you have people like the Dalai Lama. Now, the Dalai Lama is an interesting case, because I have people who are absolutely convinced he's part of the evil cabal. And I have other people, I have one particular individual who actually did a documentary with the Dalai Lama and got to spend a lot of one-on-one time with him and thinks he's a wonderful human being. So I'm confused about the Dalai Lama. I mean, on the one hand, you know, he says some things that are pretty good. On the other hand, he seems to be in the pocket of the cabal. He seems to be working with the dark side. Now, can that be? I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. But I don't like the idea of living in a world of injustice. I don't like the idea of being part of a world that anything goes and that there is no there is no accountability. No one has to be accountable for their actions, because everybody, if you're powerful enough, you can get away with anything. And that's the world that I observe. That's the world that I observe. And it's the world that I rise up against, and everything in me cries out, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. We can't keep going like this. It's not sustainable. Believing that life is an illusion, or that physical reality is an illusion, to me, takes all the meaning and purpose out of life itself. And it leaves me destitute. And somebody keeps my friend keeps telling me, you need to surrender. You need to surrender. I like it when you surrender. When you say to us, I can't fulfill my mission. To me, you were surrendering when you said that you can't fulfill your mission. I can't. Because so many people buy into the philosophy that allows the criminality to continue unabated and unaddressed. I can't justify my own life living in a world like that. I have to stand against it, because to me, it's intrinsically wrong. It violates everything that rings true to me, everything that has significance to me. It just violates it. The whole government system, the whole monetary system, violate my essential being of who I am and who I want to be in this or any other world. It violates it. And I wrestle with these things. These are not easy questions. Deep thinkers have wrestled with these things. And I cannot come to the conclusion that anything goes. I cannot come to the conclusion that everything is okay, because I don't see that it's okay. I don't see that. I don't feel it. I don't know it. At any level, I don't know it. Not at any level. Because to me, now is all there is. And now includes everything that's in the past and everything that's in the future. It includes everything. Not some things, but everything. The present moment contains all moments. I contain all opposites. That's the paradox. I embrace the paradox. But life has significance. Life has meaning. Life has purpose. And that purpose is based on natural law. And natural law, again, is do no harm. Do not violate the free will of another. And society not only has the right, it has the responsibility to uphold standards and to enforce standards on the members of the society. It has the responsibility to do that. Otherwise, we end up with the world that is like hell on earth, the world that we experience together. Anyway, these are the things that are troubling me today, and the things that I want you to consider. Where do you fall on this? Let there be discussion. Thank you for listening. Namaste.